Formula for a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Alright, so let's look at this by ranking, like age ranking. X squared would be the oldest child. So let's use my family. My oldest sister, she usually made A's. And then there was me, I was the middle child. I made B's. Then my little sister, she was kind of like a C student. So things with solving quadratic equations, there are several ways to solve quadratic equations. But the first one that we're going to work with is quadratic formula. I'm using the quadratic formula. I made another video that tells you how to memorize quadratic formula. And we have x equals, it's the quadratic formula, negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac. We're just gonna put it all over 2a. Hey, I ain't gonna sing it no more. That's it. That's it. I'm killing it right there. All right? So let's toss an example in this thing. Toss an example, example 1. Example 1. All right, so the first thing you want to check is my equation in the form of my family. Is the oldest child first, the middle child in the middle, and finally the constant, which is the number that does not have a visible variable attached to it. And it is in the standard form for our family. So we're going to go through, and what I like to always do, I like to identify what's called the discriminant. The discriminant is the b squared minus 4ac portion of the quadratic formula. So we're going through, we have a equals, I go to my big sister, she has a value of 4 there. B equals, go to me at x negative 10. C equals 6. All right, and now we're going to identify the discriminant. The discriminant, we have b squared minus 4ac. B squared minus 4ac. We already identified all the parts. All the parts are present. What is the b value? And check this. You want to make sure you toss that whole number inside parentheses and square it, because it makes a difference whenever you put it in your calculator and period. When you square this negative, you're going to get out a positive. But if you only put negative 10 without the parentheses present, you would have negative 100. But that's besides the case. Let's keep proceeding. B squared minus 4ac, 4. Then I'm going to go to A, which is 4, and C, which is 6. This equals 100 minus 16 times 6 is 96. 100 minus 96 equals 4. Our discriminant is 4. Since your discriminant is positive, that tells you that you're going to have 2 real solutions. Because your discriminant is positive, you're going to have 2 real solutions. And those solutions will be unique. 2 unique real solutions. What do we need to do to find those solutions? Toss the information into the quadratic formula. Let's swing over here. We have x equals, I sounded like a weatherman just then, swinging it over here. X equals the opposite of b. B is negative 10, so we're going to write positive 10. Plus or minus the square root of the discriminant. We already calculated this. All over 2 times a. We have 10 plus or minus. The square root of 4 is, that's right, it's 2. You're smart. I felt it. All over 8 equals. So we have 10 plus 2. 10 plus 2. That is 12 over 8. Comma. 10 minus 2. 10 minus 2 is 8 over 8. will be the solutions that satisfy that equation to ensure that is equal to 0. Box your solution, identify your answers. Cool. All right. So let's do one more example. And in this next example, what we're going to do, we're going to toss the family all kinds of crazy, have things out of order, but we still will be able to rearrange it and get to where we're trying to go. If your discriminant is positive, you have two unique real solutions. If your discriminant is negative, you have no real solutions. If your discriminant equals 0, you have one real solution. We're strictly focused on the real number system right now. That's why I keep saying real. Example number 2. Before we start, is this equation set up like our family? Is the oldest leading, followed by the middle child, followed by the last child? If you said no, it's because you starting a process and saying you know what you're talking about. The oldest, middle child, last child. So we're going to go ahead and rearrange this, and I can move this 15 over. And when I move that 15 over, that's going to give me, how can I move this 15 over? 15 is negative. To undo negatives, to negate a negative, you add. So we're going to add 15 to each side to maintain this equality. We have 0 equals 7x squared minus 4x plus 15. All right? Check it. Now, is your family set up the way you want it? Your oldest child, your youngest child, your middle child to your youngest child? Yes, but the 0 on the wrong side, it don't matter. If you move the 0 over here, it's still going to say equals 0. It doesn't matter. All right, so identify the components. My child to make A's is my oldest, so I'm going to go there. My child to make B's is the middle child, so I'm going to go there and find the variable with the power of 1. And my child that makes C's, or better yet, my mom's children, we're going to go right there. Identify the parts. Then what do? Talk to me. That's right. We go and grab the discriminant because we want our lives to be easy. Write out the discriminant. I'm writing this stuff out every time because I want it to get locked. B squared minus 4 times A. A is, oh, check me out, all wrong. Go to the component. B is negative 4. And times 15. So we have 16 minus 60, that's 420, equals negative 404. All right, we went through a list while I was erasing, but this tells me my discriminant is negative, so I know I'm going to have no real solution. No real solution. But let's say that we were in the complex number system and we need to find out what the imaginary or complex solutions are. So we'll go here, tossing this information into our quadratic formula. Again, the quadratic formula is x equals the opposite of b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So x equals, grabbing the information, extracting the information, opposite of b is negative 4, so the opposite would be positive 4, plus or minus the square root of negative 404 all over 2 times a, which is 7, equals 4 plus or minus square root of a negative number, that is the square root of 404. I is not under the radical, outside of the radical. Because we took the square root of a negative, the square root of negative 1 is I. The remaining component, the 404, stays under the radical. all over 14. Now, if we're going to simplify this guy all the way out, and in the real number system, you don't have to. You just say no real solution. But if we're in the complex number system, we'll go ahead and break this down. And we'll say here we have the perfect square that goes into 404 is 4. And it does it 101 times. So we have 4 plus or minus, the square root of 4 is 2. Square root 101i. All over 14. Check it. Outside of the radical, all of these values have a what in common? Talk to me. Talk to me. Oh, it's a screen, I'm sorry. All of these have a 2 in common. So we have here, factor out 2. That leaves us with 2 plus or minus square root 101 I. Factor out 2. 2 times 7 equals. Boom, boom. 2 over 2 is 1. This goes to a value of 1. 1 times anything is that anything. Right there, you have 2 complex or imaginary solutions. Hey, I hope this was beneficial. I hope it helped you. Next time I'll post quadratic solutions or solving quadratic equations using completing the square. If you're majoring in engineering, you want to go ahead and get real fancy with completing the square. And I'll show you some of my little tricks on completing the square. Hey, I'll see y'all soon. Hope this was beneficial. Take it easy. Math professor out.